Well, with 2 games left in the 2015 NFL season, the St. Louis Rams situation here in town is still far from decided. This past year, plans were unveiled for a $1 billion outdoor stadium on the North Riverfront in an attempt to keep the team, but debate continues. Should the city put down money for a brand new stadium when football may not be the most pressing issue in our city? We explored this topic twice in 2015, most recently as the season was just kicking off. Will it be the last season for the Rams in St. Louis? Are we just not getting the hint here from Stan Kroenke and the Rams? Is there any way that they're actually staying in St. Louis? Do we need to kind of deal with the reality that this team is gone?
Well, I think that we don't know the reality. I don't think the commissioner of football knows the reality. I don't think the owners know what's going to happen. And there are a lot of different possibilities. I would grant you that the least likely possibility seems to be the St. Louis Rams staying in St. Louis with Stan Kroenke as the owner. But the St. Louis Rams staying in St. Louis with a different owner, a different team coming here, even an expansion franchise, are all possibilities. I mean, you talk to Dave Peacock and the task force. Obviously, they're talking to NFL owners, to the NFL front office. And there are a lot of different permutations that can happen if we show up, with a viable plan to build the stadium. There's only one scenario where we know with certitude what will happen, and that is if we don't show up with a viable plan to build the stadium, and that is St. Louis will not have NFL football. That's the only certainty that we know.
Whether or not the Rams leave or stay, I think one certainty is that Stan Kroenke is going to build a stadium in Los Angeles, and I think that is what's driving the fact that he wants to move the franchise there. I don't think he is waiting for them to do anything for him. He's going to build a stadium. He wants to move his franchise there. I understand that. The concern I have is with the National Football League. And this entity that is the National Football League, to rely on them to back up whatever promises they're saying, or we keep hearing they're saying you're doing good work and all that. Until we have a promise from the National Football League written down that they are going to have a franchise in St. Louis, and I don't know what the years, are in 30. In 5 years you'll have a team. In 10 years you'll have a team. If the Rams leave within this parameter of time, you will have a franchise. Then I said, let's go. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's pay people to do work, as we are now. And I think that's the people's money too. And I just don't trust the National Football League.
Cities that have the NFL because they're an economic engine. And part of what we saw in the intro was that we are an NFL city. By every economic measure, we're a middle-of-the-road economic city. There's no reason why Indianapolis, Cincinnati, Buffalo, Green Bay have teams and we wouldn't. So it's hard to imagine if an economic package is put together by St. Louis that the NFL would walk.
Does the treasurer's office worry about these millionaire players leaving town, or this large corporation you could see leaving town? Are you concerned about the Rams?
So personally, I'm not concerned about the Rams leaving town. St. Louis has 99 problems, and a stadium isn't one, in my personal opinion. We have a whole host of things that I think we need to fix before even being concerned about whether the Rams stay or go. For example, our school district is teetering on the edge of provisional accreditation, and so are all the other 22 school districts that surround the city. We have economic inequality that, there's double-digit unemployment in minority communities. I think that we need to use an old cliche, take care of home first before we start talking about a stadium that most of the people who live in the city can't even afford to go to the games.